like to call to order the City Council meeting November 7th, 2023. Mary Lee, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Hutton.
Here.
Powers. Here. Luttrell.
Here.
Turner.
Here.
Robin. Here.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for attending tonight's meeting. There'll be a number of opportunities to speak on matters of city business this evening. A sheet explaining those opportunities has been made available to you when entering the meeting room. As we go forward with tonight's agenda, I will note each time when public comment is welcome. In addition, a sign-up sheet has been provided as you entered council chambers for those individuals desiring to speak during public comment. This time, I would like to ask Vice Mayor Hutton to lead us in our invocation and Councilman Luttrell to lead us in our pledge.
Join me as we pray. God, we're grateful that we can gather in this room at this hour and do the work of the city. We're also grateful that we can call on you and ask for wisdom, ask for discernment. And so we do. As a council and as a community, Lord, we look to you for help as we make decisions that impact everyone around us. So, Lord, we ask that you be with us this night as we do this work. I ask, Lord, that you help us to do it in a way that is pleasing to you, in a way that advances this city, but also advances your kingdom as well. I ask all this in the awesome and the powerful and the marvelous name of Jesus. Amen.
Face the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Ms. Bourgeois, do we have any additions to tonight's meeting?
Thank you. Yes, Mayor, we do have one addition under resolutions. It's Resolution 23-153, contract for the sale of property on Weaver Pike.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to accept the revised agenda.
Motion to approve the addition of Resolution 23-153 concerning the property on Weaver Pike.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mary Lee, will you call the roll?
Hutton.
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Luttrell.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Robin.
Yes.
Okay, we have one proclamation and one recognition this evening. The first proclamation is for Small Business Saturday. Councilwoman Powers will read that, and I believe Maggie Elliott is here to accept it.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas the City of Bristol, Tennessee celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community on Small Business Saturday, an annual American holiday that celebrates local entrepreneurs and encourages shoppers to buy from small businesses in their area. And whereas, according to the United States Small Business Administration, as of 2022, there were 32.5 million small businesses in the United States, comprising 99.9% of all American businesses and accounting for 61.7 million employees. And whereas in 2021, Small Business Saturday sales reached $23.3 billion. And whereas more than 72% of Americans say they will shop small on Small Business Saturday, and whereas Small Business Saturday helps spread the message to consumers with 72% of respondents to the 2022 American Express survey reporting that Small Business Saturday makes them want to encourage others to shop at small, independently owned retailers. And whereas the impact of Small Business Saturday and the Shop Small season can have immense impact, perhaps even giving them the financial bump that they will need to grow their businesses annually, creating a beneficial ripple effect throughout the community. And whereas for every dollar spent at a small business, 68 cents stays within the local economy. Every dollar spent at small businesses creates an additional 48 cents in local business activity as a result of employees in local businesses purchasing local goods and services. And the City of Bristol, Tennessee supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our neighborhoods. And whereas advocacy groups, as well as public and private organizations across the country, have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday, now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor, Vince Turner, of the City of Bristol, Tennessee, does hereby proclaim November 25th, 2023 as Small Business Saturday, and encourages the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year. And I will just add, and I'm sure that Maggie will talk about all of the activities that we have planned in our downtown in the coming month.
Thank you so much. As the neighborhood champion for Bristol, Believe in Bristol is absolutely thrilled to accept the Small Business Saturday proclamation. We wholeheartedly believe in the importance of backing our local small businesses, not just during the holiday season, but all year round. These businesses are the lifeblood of our community, and the impact of our support goes beyond dollars and cents. As Councilwoman Powers had mentioned, roughly 68 cents of every dollar spent at our local businesses stay right here in the local economy. That's money that gets reinvested into our economy, contributing to the livelihoods of our neighbors and friends. From employees spending their hard-earned money at local restaurants and grocery stores to the endless cycle of small business spending, it all comes full circle, keeping Bristol vibrant and strong. When we support local, we're not just shopping, we're investing in the future of our city. We're excited to accept this proclamation and remain committed to nurturing our small business community. As Councilwoman Powers mentioned, there is a full lineup of Christmas fun right around the corner. In downtown Bristol, it all kicks off on Monday, November 20th. That is our Christmas open house. That is our big kickoff to the holiday season. It is a great customer appreciation night for our merchants. There's a great opportunity to get discounts on holiday shopping, enjoy some refreshments with the merchants, and shop late. That's from 5:30 to 8:30. Santa Claus will make his first appearance in downtown. We'll have different holiday displays, festive lights, as well as our horse and carriage rides down State Street. Following that is, of course, Small Business Saturday. That is on November 25th. So when you see the blue and white, you know that people are celebrating Small Business Saturday, and I encourage you to walk in those doors. The following day, it's a little change to the normal schedule, but Sunday, November 26th, is going to be our Christmas tree lighting. The static event of that will take place on our sister side of the state line in Bristol, Virginia, on the Cumberland Square lot right in front of the Bristol Hotel. We will be enlarging our community Christmas tree display to approximately 60 trees that would be decorated by local businesses, individuals, and nonprofits. All of those trees will be lit at the same time during that static event, though, so you'll really see Bristol shine on Sunday, November 26th. Prior to the lighting of those trees, though, we're extending the event. It'll begin at 4 o'clock instead of the traditional 6 o'clock. To include a new winter carnival. So we'll have local organizations and businesses who will be doing holiday-themed games for the kids. You can get some early stocking stuffers, and it'll be a really great festive Hallmark-inspired evening. Following that, we have 2 other big events that are on the calendar in December. The Bristol Chamber of Commerce hosts the Christmas Parade. That'll be on Thursday, December 7th. And then following that, Tuesday, December 12th, is Journey's End. If you're not familiar, it's the story of Los Posados, and it's a really beautiful community event, and I encourage you to join us. You can see all of these events if you're jotting them down ferociously. No worries, we have them all listed on believeinbristol.org, and we'll continue to post all of the events and festivities that our downtown merchants have to offer as well. So thank you again so much.
Thank you. All right, next we have one recognition for the Government Finance Officers Association Award, and Councilwoman Robin will read that, and Holly Barron is here to receive the recognition.
Right. So we're really pleased tonight to have received this award and have a very heavy plaque to provide to Holly. And this is the Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada, GFOA. And they've given us the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the annual comprehensive financial report for fiscal year that ended June 30th, 2022. It was judged by an impartial panel to meet the high standards of the program, which includes demonstrating a constructive spirit of full disclosure to clearly communicate its financial story and motivate potential users and user groups to read the report. And if you've seen it, it's thick, but a lot of it is not numbers. A lot of it's narrative that tells you a whole lot about our city and community. It's the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by government and its management. 4,300, that's 4,300 total governments receive this recognition. So we say congratulations to Finance Director Holly Varan and to her finance staff, and thank her very much for all their work. And if I can make it up there with the plaque, I'll be glad to pass it on.
Just real quick, Mayor, council members, and Ms. Bourgeois, just thank you for taking just a little time to recognize this achievement. And I want to thank everyone that contributes data, words, whatever goes into the report. It takes like a huge effort. And so I want to thank everyone, and it's other agencies, it's everyone throughout the city, and it helps all of us in the finance department put it together, and it takes the entire finance department to put it together. So thank you for the moment.
Thank you. All right, next we have no presentations, and we'll go to our Board of Education report. Dr. Tudor.
Good evening, everyone. I just have a few things for you this evening. Just an update, we are getting ready to kick off our new season of the Dale Burns Youth Sports Program. We have a new facilitator of that process. We have a new English teacher at Tennessee High School, Josh Helvey, who is taking over that. We've made some great improvements. We have close to 550 elementary age students signed up for that for basketball and cheerleading, which is about 100 more than we had last year, so pretty excited to get that started. We're actually getting that started sooner than we've done in the previous 2 years, so I'm pretty proud of that. Just as Maggie mentioned, we have lots of holiday preparations getting ready for our families through the Family Resource Center. We're in full holiday mode to support our students. So Thanksgiving food drive is happening, the John Berry toy drive, and of course Santa Pal. All of that will be happening in the next few weeks. We also have adaptive bowling coming up. We're privileged to partner with Pins and Friends on State Street. This will be the second year in a row that they've offered up their facility for our adaptive bowling event, which brings Sullivan County and Bristol special needs students in to bowl in a very fun and competitive manner. If you've not seen that, that is on November 20th. You're welcome to stop by and see that during the day. And then lastly, we do not have a board meeting this month. This is the month that our school board members travel to Nashville for the TSBA State Conference. So we'll be heading there next week. That's all I have for you.
Thank you. Okay, next, we have one public hearing on tonight's agenda. Ordinance 23-12, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of Bristol, Tennessee by designating property along Highway 394 and Old Thomas Bridge Road as B3 General Business and PRD Planned Residential Development. This public hearing is hereby open for ordinance 23-12, amending the city zoning ordinance, and Sheriff Young will present.
Good. Thank you, Mayor Turner. Good evening, council members. Tonight, the public hearing focuses on a request that we received from Mr. Phil Cross and Mrs. Jeannie Cross to rezone approximately 80 acres of their property with frontage on Highway 394 and a little bit of frontage on Old Thomas Bridge Road. Currently, the property is zoned R1A, but as the mayor stated in his introduction, the request tonight is to rezone a piece to B3 and a piece to PRD, Planned Residential District. I have a brief map to show you here, and we reviewed this map in the work session, but the applicant intends and has requested to rezone the portion of the property that's hatched in red. It's approximately 17 acres to B3, or the General Business District. The remainder, which is hatched in green, it's about 62 acres, would be rezoned to PRD, a planned residential district that allows 6 dwelling units per acre. This is a summary slide of the permitted uses in each zone, just to quickly contrast. The R1A, the existing zone now, allows for single-family residential development. The planned residential development that does allow for 6 units per acre would be on the back portion of the property. That larger 62-acre portion would allow 6 units per acre. It would allow a duplex, a triplex, and up to a 6-unit multifamily building. There are stipulations on that where the multifamily building would have to be located interior to the site, and the maximum number of units allowed per building that's on the periphery of the project would be 4 units. So that would be the maximum number of units that would be possible. On the right side of the screen, you see the B3 uses. That is our general business district, so it does allow the uses that are appropriate and common to the general business corridors. So you have your restaurant, retail, business, multifamily, all of those type uses in the B3 zone. This map shows an excerpt from our future land use map. So the portion hatched in red, B3, aligns well with the commercial future land use designation, which is in red on the map. The back half of the property, or back more than half, is 62 acres, is shaded with purple, which is indicative of a medium density future land use classification. We did put signs out, notify adjacent property owners of this request. We did receive 2 letters that were in opposition to the rezoning back, 3 in favor. One of those was from the property owner themselves. Planning Commission did review this during their meeting on October the 16th, and the vote to send a favorable recommendation to City Council on the request was a unanimous vote that evening. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions? Would anyone in the audience like to address council on this matter? If so, please go to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, this public hearing is now closed. Next, we have the appearance of citizens. This section provides an opportunity for the public to address City Council on any matter of city business. A response will not likely be made at this time. In most cases, neither council nor the city manager will be prepared to effectively respond to the concern. The city manager will look into the matter and report back to City Council, or as appropriate, have staff meet with you in an effort to satisfy the concern. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please step to the podium and state your name and address. I have a list that was provided, and we have one person, George Link.
George Link, 307 Rutledge Street, Bristol, Tennessee, 37620. I guess you'll never wonder what I'm up here to talk about. In all reality, though, I just wanted to make a couple comments. kind of closing up the year and doing our work on our part. We're continuing to slog on the grants from both the Kit Moore Foundation and the Tony Hawk Foundation, and we are also following up with the Shade Grant for the skate park. We're also looking forward to working with the city in the upcoming year, going through the design phase. I think once we have a design in hand, we'll be able to make more material targeted fundraising goals on our part. I would like to thank the city manager for putting up with my phone calls and Terry with my consistent harassment over the previous year. Some social responsibility we're wanting to take on a little bit. There's a core group of us working with Street Plant. They are a skateboard manufacturer. Last year they provided 10 financially distressed and single-parent households in Bristol free skateboards and equipment last year. We're hoping to do that again this year. We're also put in a request with Black Rifle Coffee Company in hopes to do a little bit of public service with our homeless population and providing hot drinks on a cold night. So we'll keep you all updated. If you want to join us for either one of those events, we'll make sure to extend an invitation. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we have a couple of appointments. The first one is for the Board of Zoning Appeals. We have one candidate for one position, Wesley Walker. Would anyone like to speak on behalf of Mr. Walker?
I would be happy to. He's been in our community for several years, been involved with Maggie was just here, the Believe in Bristol Pepper Fest. He's helped to organize it. And he's also active with Friends of Steel Creek. And I think he's a good thinker and a good community member. I think he'll be a good member of the BZA. So.
I would agree. I spoke with him this afternoon for a few minutes, and I think he will be a good addition, and was interesting of how he ended up here. Him and his wife, I guess, toured the country for a couple of years in an RV, trying to decide after retiring from the Air Force of where they wanted to be, and East Tennessee and here in Bristol was where they decided they wanted to be, and they've been here for 5 years now. So.
Yeah, I spent some time with him, I guess, at the Boards and Commissions banquet the other night, and talked to him some, and seemed like a great guy. I think he's going to have a lot to offer our community. Spent some more time with him on the phone today, and I applaud him for his 30-year commitment serving in the armed forces, and I think he's going to have some good ideas to bring to the table for us. So.
Thank you. Councilwoman Feierabend has Wesley Walker. Councilman Luttrell has Wesley Walker. Mayor Turner has Wesley Walker. Vice Mayor Hutton has Wesley Walker. And Councilwoman Powers has Wesley Walker.
Thank you. Next, we have 3 candidates for one position on the Parks and Recreation Commission. First, Nick Castle, Sarah Morgan, and Robert Spiegel. Would anyone like to speak on behalf of any of these candidates?
I can start. I've talked to all 3. I think any of the 3, they're enthusiastic and express what their interests are. Personally, and hopefully the others will be involved. It's great when we have people who are interested in serving on our boards and commissions. So I am supporting Sarah Morgan as an addition to our Parks and Rec Commission board.
Anybody else? I can just say, as far as Nick, that I've actually spoke with him a couple of times, and he has recently moved. We've known him for quite some time, but recently bought a house here and moved here to Bristol and wants to get involved in our community, and so this position is open, and so I'll be supporting Nick. So.
Okay. So I have one vote for Sarah Morgan from Councilwoman Feierabend, one vote for Nick Castle from Vice Mayor Hutton, one vote for Nick Castle from Councilwoman Powers, one vote for Nick Castle from Mayor Turner, And one vote for Nick Castle from Councilman Luttrell.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinances and resolutions. The first one is adoption of ordinance 23-11, second read. Ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration, Finance Division 2, Purchasing Regulations and Code of Ordinance as it's related to purchasing. City Attorney Danielle Smith will give us a brief overview of this.
Thank you, Mayor Turner. As we discussed at our last meeting, the revisions that we would be making to our purchasing regulations are to keep the purchasing regulations in conformity with Tennessee law. We would remain at a $10,000 threshold for purchases made without council approval, so anything over $10,000 would require council approval. But otherwise, we would be raising the limit for public advertising and competitive bidding to $25,000. This would be a change from $10,000 where it currently is. That's probably the biggest change in the purchasing regulations. The other thing that is going to happen in this ordinance, or actually, sorry, that's the next ordinance. I'm getting myself mixed up between ordinances and resolutions right now, but the main thrust of the ordinance will be to change the city code that states that the level of where you have to do competitive bidding and public advertisement is $4,000, which was updated by council through the purchasing regulations years ago to $10,000, but there's been that inconsistency ever since. And so we would go ahead and clarify in the city code that that level is $25,000. And later on in the meeting, you'll be asked to approve the new regulations that are going to incorporate that change throughout the whole regulation.
Is there a motion to approve ordinance 23-11?
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2311.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I would just like clarification for the general public is, so we've gone from the $4,000 to $25,000 that has to be advertised, but anything above $10,000 has to be approved by council,
That's correct.
just for everyone's edification.
Anything else? Mary Lee, I think we're ready for a roll call.
Hutton,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Luttrell,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Firewoman.
Yes.
Okay, next we have adoption of ordinance 23-12, second reading. Ordinance to amend the zoning map of Bristol by designating the property at Highway 394 and Old Thomas Bridge Road as B3 General Business and PRD Planned Residential Development. This item was presented by Ms. Young during the public hearing earlier this evening. Are there any questions for Ms. Young in this matter? Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just have one thing to say, especially with folks from our school system here. This is another development has the potential to have impacts on our schools in terms of people moving to that end of town. We're aware of it as a city council, and I think the school board is as well. And we'll need to keep an eye on those things, especially to prepare for whatever might need to take place in terms of getting Avoca, the elementary school in particular, prepared for an onslaught of more students. But I just want to make sure that this is a really good, positive thing and for that end of town. So just want to make sure that we're keeping that in front of us.
I'll just add to thank the planning staff and planning commission who worked through to have a good solution for everybody involved.
Well, and I would just throw out there that, to your point, Margaret, planning staff did a great job of being able to pivot when it came back to them, and it was brought back to planning commission for a greater understanding. And I think that what it's produced is an even better product for us to have to move forward. And so I think that oftentimes we want things done quickly and efficiently, of course, but sometimes our quickest moves are not our best moves, and that it took a great understanding on the planning staff as well as the planning commission to give us the product that we have in front of us that I feel really good about.
And I would also say the developers, property owners, it's a lot to understand. land regulations and zonings, et cetera, et cetera. So helping people to understand their choices and implications, that's a lot to help people.
All right, Mary Lee, I think we're ready for a roll.
Hutton,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Luttrell,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Robin.
Yes.
All right, next we have Resolution 23-127, a resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds of the City of Bristol, Tennessee, in aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $8 million in one or more series, making provisions for the issuance, sale, and payment of said bonds, establishing the terms thereof and the disposition of proceeds therefore, and providing the levy of taxes for the payment of principal of premium, if any, and interest on the bonds. Bourgeois, you want to?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. As we've been discussing for a few months now, we do have the final resolution, excuse me, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds. And as was discussed at the last work session, that not to exceed amount is $8 million. I do acknowledge the agenda says 10, that was a carryover. It is 8, the resolution and all of the documentation say $8 million. It is to be sold by competitive sale, borrowing for the term of 30 years. However, there's amortization for some of the equipment that will be at a lesser number of years than that. The bond sales, the bonds will be used for a variety of items. Those include Fire Station 2 overages, building remodels, road construction projects, the demolition landfill closure, purchasing and upgrading the fleet maintenance facility, and that's the item that was added to the agenda tonight. Purchasing of vehicles, including fire engine, rescue truck, and a street sweeper. So to be very clear, that was the intent for that $8 million in bonds. Our bond counsel, Mr. Gibson, is here to answer any questions that you may have. Otherwise, staff would request that you approve Resolution 23-127, authorizing us to move forward with that sale.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 23-127.
Is there a second?
No, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just want to point out, we worked pretty hard on this, and I'm glad that Ms. Bourgeois made the list out there. I think it's important for people in Bristol to take a close look at actually what this bond is going to cover. It has infrastructure to it. I think that's incredibly important for folks to realize that we have to bond these things. I also know that the Sullivan County Commission is in the process of looking at a $17 million bond, and I would encourage people in Bristol to take a close look at that $17 million bond in comparison to this one, to see that it is for the people of Bristol. It is for infrastructure. It is that kind of a bond for us. So I just think that's an important thing for our people to take a close look at and compare and contrast. You got a $17 million bond coming from the county that it's hard for me to see how that's going to bring any additional services to the people of Bristol, although we'll pay for it. It'll be mostly for Kingsport and Bluntville, and not much nothing for Bristol that I can tell. But this $8 million bond for the city of Bristol will do great things for us. So I feel good about it. That's why I would support it.
Anybody else? Hearing none, ready for a vote?
Hutton,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Luttrell,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Robin.
Yes.
Okay, next we have Resolution 23-137, resolution establishing the name of a private street as Tennessee Hills Way. Ms. Young will present and go over this with us.
Thank you, Mayor Turner. So we did receive a request from Stephen Callahan with Tennessee Hills Distillery to rename their private street as Tennessee Hills Way. We couldn't find any record that the city had ever officially named this road, so we feel like it's a good tool for them to have that name leading up to their campus. I'm going to show you a map, I think, that summarizes my last 3 bullet points here, but this is the section that will be named Tennessee Hills Way, so it's shown in yellow and in red. The point I would like to make is that the Tennessee Hills Way in red is what's going to remain as their campus, always to be named as Tennessee Hills Way. For the interim, we will also name the yellow portion, which connects to 11W, as Tennessee Hills Way. Once that road is reconstructed as a part of the State Industrial Access Program, that will be dedicated as public road and renamed at that point in time. But Tennessee Hills Way will always have their drive leading up to their campus named as Tennessee Hills Way. We did review this request with the Planning Commission during their meeting in October, and they did vote unanimously to send a favorable recommendation to City Council on the request. If the resolution is approved tonight, this would become effective on December 1st.
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Young? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve establishing the name of the private street as Tennessee Hills Way, Resolution 23137.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Mary Lee?
Hutton,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Littrell,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Firerobin.
Yes.
Mayor, I would say this. I think this is a great thing because it will be the trailhead of the Tennessee Whiskey Trail, and it will just give an even greater directional emphasis to that beginning. So this is not just a street change for, thank you. It's not just a street change for the name of a business per se, but it's for a concept that we believe will lead to even greater economic development. So,
Good point.
kudos.
Okay, next we have Resolution 23-138, a resolution adopting, amending the and restated rules and procedures of City Council. Ms. Smith?
Thank you, Mayor. Periodically, City Council updates rules and procedures that it adopted many, many years ago. These updates are a little bit more extensive than we have in past years because we've made updates to comply with some changes to state law. Just to summarize what the changes are, we will be clarifying what we mean by adequate notice. We'll be clarifying that requires an annual notice to be published in the paper, plus notices of all individual meetings on the city's website and social media pages. Proclamations would no longer be required to be read during city council meetings. That was at the request of council. Any organizations that are requesting proclamations, though, should send a representative to receive them. We've clarified the public comment process to comply with those changes in state law so that Section 2E makes clear the 3 opportunities that citizens have to come and comment at council. And the notices of meetings are required to explain how the public may comment during the meeting. Section F makes the procedures for public comment applicable to all forms of public comment. Section E4 outlines the process for the city manager to modify the agenda after it's been distributed to city council and the public, to clarify how we would do that. And then finally, there is a requirement for the city manager to confirm the resident status of members of boards and commissions on an annual basis, and you've increased the number of boards and commissions that someone may serve on from 2 to 3. So those would be the major non-clerical changes.
Okay. Is there anyone in the public that would like to comment on this matter? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Motion to approve Resolution 23-138, adopting the amended and restated rules and procedures of the City Council.
Second.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I'll just say briefly, I think this is great. It keeps us on point, and we are oftentimes redirected to point. So it's nice to have all of this clarified. Thank you, Daniel.
All right, Mary Lee?
Hutton,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Littrell,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Firerobin.
Yes.
All right, next, we have Resolution 23-139, a resolution authorizing the Industrial Development Board to enter into a pilot arrangement that exceeds the benefits contemplated by the city's Economic Development Incentive Program for Project Scotland. Mr. Tom Anderson will present on this matter.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor, Council. As you recall, we did discuss this in the work session in October. Just to give a brief overview, we're looking at 321 jobs coming to Bristol with an annual payroll of over $14 million. The company will have a $53,533,000 capital investment. That includes the land, building, and equipment. They'll initially have a 300,000 square foot building, which will be expandable to 500,000. They're looking at the Bristol Business Park on 394. They'll acquire approximately 60 acres from BTES to start that construction. This is before you because it's a pilot request, which exceeds our contemplated benefit in our current economic development incentive policy. And what they're asking for is a 10-year payment in lieu of tax agreement at 95% abatement for both real and personal property. And right now, that exceeds our policy, so you would need to authorize the IDB to enter into this agreement.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Anderson? I'll just say thank you for all of your hard work on this, and hopefully we'll finally.
It'll be nice. It started summer last year.
Yes,
actually.
I know it's been a while, so I think it's a great addition to our city, and the addition of jobs and the payroll and the investment in our
The average
city.
wage is $22.02 an hour.
Okay. Is there anyone in the public that would like to address council on this matter? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve Resolution 23-139, authorizing the Industrial Development Board to enter into a pilot agreement.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I think it's also important to offer our congratulations and thanks to BTES. They're a huge partner in everything that we do like this, and their economic development representatives and team are also important. And a shout out to Sullivan Networks Partnership, who works extremely well with our city economic development team. I don't think there's a better economic development team than what we have here in Bristol, Tennessee. And the proof of that is the work that they are producing on a regular basis. Thank you.
And I believe also, just adding to that, I believe we were one of, were there 5 other locations in different cities and states that we were in competition for with this, and the fact that right here in Bristol,
Yeah.
I think says a lot of the team and the effort that was put into it. So,
I'll just add one more thing, our Mayor. It just re-emphasizes the importance of having pad-ready sites. You know, when you have site selectors looking around the country, and if you got a pad-ready site, I mean, you're just about halfway there. So it's very important that we continue that process and work, which we are.
right.
And it's just another good jewel for the 394.
Tom, can you refresh our memory about what our approach is to our next pad-ready site? Where are we with that?
BTS is about to start development of 14 acres in the North Industrial Park. They did receive a grant from TVA to start that work. They're looking for some opportunities to actually expand that footprint a little bit so it could qualify for state money. So that'll get started in the spring, but we're also partnering with Network Sullivan Partnership for lots 1 and 2 just inside Partnership Park 2, which would allow for a building of roughly 240,000 square feet and another building on a smaller pad, which could be about 35,000 square feet. We had received a $1 million grant from the state of Tennessee, which greatly relieved the burden of the partners and us, being able to develop that site. But Mr. Luttrell's correct. I mean, without these prepared sites, Project Scotland, they found us before we knew they were looking. So they do sell themselves, and especially when they want to be logistically, it makes a lot of sense being in this part of Northeast Tennessee. So when they see something flat up here, it's rare. So, but it does remove a lot of the ifs that they look for, so the speed to market comes into play, and that actually puts us ahead of a lot of other communities.
And a lot of times there's discussion, and just for edification of the public, there's discussion about should we have spec buildings prepared on these pad-ready sites, and the discussion there is that to have a spec building, we may be limiting ourselves.
Yes.
Because, would you explain briefly about why spec buildings could be limiting rather than a pad-ready site?
Well, the spec buildings, a lot of times they like to be located directly on interstate, and those are the ones that turn over very quickly, but you don't know the thickness of the floor. Sometimes they have extremely heavy equipment, so even if it's an 8-inch floor, it still may not be enough. The ceiling heights is usually the big one. Even if you build it up to 35 feet up in the middle, we had one looking for a building for 50 feet. Which, obviously we didn't have anything anywhere in this part of the state. So all those questions, it gets really difficult to find that sweet spot. So, if you build a smaller building, 25,000 square foot, that could be expandable to 50,000, then when they're looking for 100,000. So, we've been in circles doing this stuff. So, supply chains are starting to settle down a little bit on a lot of the materials, but knocking down hills and knowing all the geotech is in order and everything's just teed up with utilities and all that, they're actually more looking for that than a turnkey building.
Thank you.
Okay. I think Mary Lee, we're ready for a roll call.
Hutton,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Luttrell,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Robin.
Yes.
All right, next we have Resolution 23-140, a resolution seeking funding for the establishment of a location of the Sullivan County Health Department in Bristol, Tennessee.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This is another item that we've talked about at work session for a couple of months now, not a few. The County Director of Health, Gary Mays, sent a letter to the Tennessee Department of Health Commissioner Alvarado requesting state funds to help locate a county health clinic here in Bristol. Unfortunately, the state replied back that they don't have funds available. We are still trying to work through that, and we have asked both Sullivan County Board of Commissioners, and now we're asking the Bristol City Council to adopt resolutions just expressing their support for a clinic in Bristol and requesting funding for that. We're not getting very far with the state yet, but we will continue to try, and I do believe that the more physical evidence of support for having a clinic here in our city is very, very beneficial. We have wanted a clinic for many, many, many years, and our residents are not served by a county clinic nearby. Transportation is an issue, so service for our residents is an issue, and we would like to see that resolved, and that's really what this resolution addresses. So you have Resolution 23-140 in your packet for consideration.
Okay. Is there anyone in the public that would like to address council on this matter? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 23-140, seeking funds for establishment of a location of Sullivan County Health Department in Bristol.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
So we lost our health department when the new hospital was built. And I don't know all the particulars for why we didn't get one back here. But it is a huge disservice to our residents that they don't have those services here in our community. And to go to Bluntful is a hardship for a lot of people if they have transportation issues. So I appreciate very much City Manager Bourgeois to take this on and recognize what an important issue. We have not had the attention from as much with our health department officials, our county, and we also haven't asked for it. So now we're stepping up and really asking strongly for it, and it may take a little bit, but hopefully we will achieve services here, and there's different ways to accomplish that, and I think if we start talking, we can find out how to do that. So, and as we know, health is huge. It was critical during COVID. It's always critical. We have in our region, both in Northeast Tennessee and Southwest Virginia, we have a lot of chronic diseases. We have huge problems with substance use disorders, things that our health department addresses and works with, that having a clinic here is extremely beneficial. Thank you.
Mary Lee?
Hutton,
Yes.
Powers,
Yes.
Luttrell,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Firerobin.
Yes.
All right, next we have Resolution 23-153, a resolution authorizing the city to enter into a contract of sale for property to be used for public purpose, 1933 Weaver Pike. Ms. Bourgeois?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This is the item that was added to tonight's agenda, and I appreciate your willingness to do that. As you all, I'm sure, are better aware than myself even, we've had in our capital improvements plan for many, many years replacement of our public works garage, our fleet garage. And we had an opportunity that kind of came up, and we were able to take advantage of it with the property owners at the property located at 1933 Weaver Pike. It's an existing building. It's a number of acres, so we can not only move our fleet garage in right away with minor adjustments to the building, but we actually then have about 8 acres to further develop to house other public buildings and facilities. So this is a great opportunity for us to move into a site that we could not buy and build for the purchase price that we've negotiated. We did have an appraisal done. The appraisal came back higher than the purchase price that we've negotiated, which is $1,250,000. The contract of sale we would enter into would be conditioned upon environmental due diligence, obtaining a survey, and then having satisfactory commitment for title insurance, so clean title on the property. We would like to close by December 31st. We would split the payments out over December 31st and then January 2nd, the next business day, to help the property owners with that. Because we did add this to the agenda with less than, I think it's 3 days' notice, we do have to read the resolution in its entirety. So I'm actually going to let Danielle do that.
She's ready. Resolution number 23-153, a resolution authorizing the city to enter into a contract of sale for property to be used for public purposes, 1933 Weaver Pike. Whereas the City of Bristol, Tennessee's existing city garage has exceeded its useful life, and therefore the city is in need of property suitable for use as a garage for the repair and maintenance of city vehicles, including public works, transit, and fleet vehicles. And whereas city staff has identified property located at 1933 Weaver Pike in Bristol, Tennessee, the property, which is expected to meet the city's vehicle repair and maintenance needs. And whereas city staff has negotiated the purchase of the property from the owner, Phillips Garage Incorporated, for the sum of $1,250,000 pursuant to the contract of sale attached hereto as Exhibit A. And whereas the city manager recommends entering into the contract of sale and completing the purchase of the property. Now therefore be it resolved by the City of Bristol, Tennessee, that the recommendation of the city manager is hereby accepted, and the city is authorized to enter into the contract of sale with Phillips Garage, Inc., attached hereto as Exhibit A. Be it further resolved that the city manager is authorized to execute the contract of sale and any other documents approved by the city attorney and necessary to consummate the transaction described in the contract of sale. Whereupon the mayor declared the resolution adopted, affixed a signature and the date thereto, and directed that the same be recorded.
Does council have any questions for staff?
I would just ask City Manager Bourgeois, this $1.25 million is part of the $8 million bonds?
It is, I incorporated 1.5 million into that bond calculation to account for the purchase as well as the improvements to the building that would be needed.
I would just say that it has been, if my math's right, 46 years since the first garage was built. And I'd just like for everybody to think for a moment how transportation, cars, trucks, everything that we use to keep the city moving, how they have changed in 46 years. And I know we as a council have advocated for this for some time now. And I think it's awesome that this opportunity has made itself available, and as much as anything that we can move forward with this. So thank you.
Thank you.
It's not a hard decision when you drive by the garage on Weaver Pike and take a look at it. It's a lot needs to be done. So I think if we're here, it gives us the opportunity to, take this whole system to the next level. So good job.
It sounds like we're discussing, so,
Well, is there
Well,
anyone?
it may be a rule.
Yeah, well,
Sorry.
is there anyone in the public that would like to address council on this matter? See none, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve Resolution 23-140, wrong number, Mary Lee.
153.
23-260.
153.
153, okay.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
Second. Now, do we have any discussion on Resolution 23-153?
I'll just add, so, maybe we know it's been in desperate need, and we have put it aside, but maybe this is like the best solution ever, and certainly with what appears for the cost, et cetera. So that part of it is really good, and I hope that our employees are really excited and that we'll be able to get them in there as quickly as possible. So it is a huge, and please express thanks to all the parties involved who made this opportunity possible. So for actually bringing it to us to even know about it. So that's a big deal as well. We're fortunate.
Mary Lee?
Hutton,
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Luttrell,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Robin.
Yes.
All right, next we have our consent agenda.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Consent agenda, first item is minutes of the October 3rd, 2023 City Council meeting. Next is minutes of the October 16th, 2023 City Council called work session. Next is the minutes of the October 24th City Council called meeting. Next is minutes of the October 24th City Council work session. Next is approval of Resolution 23-141, authorizing payment to Troutman, Pepper, Hamilton, Sanders for legal fees. The next is Resolution 23-142, adopting an amendment to the city's health reimbursement arrangement. Next is adoption of Resolution 23-143, authorizing Tennessee Department of Transportation Urban Operating Assistance Grant Funds for the Bristol, Tennessee Transit System. Then we have approval of Resolution 23-144, authorizing purchase of a 2024 Ford Explorer under the state contract for our engineering division. And we have approval of Resolution 23-145, authorizing purchase of a GMC Terrain under the state contract for our IT department. We have approval of Resolution 23-146, awarding the purchase of rotary vehicle lift for the municipal garage. And this can be put in the new garage. Made sure with our director on that. Then we have approval of Resolution 23-147, authorizing the purchase of a pavement management system. Approval of Resolution 23-148, authorizing the purchase of a pickup truck for the water plant under the state contract. Then we have approval of Resolution 23-149, authorizing the emergency repair of the boiler at the Slater Center. Approval of Resolution 23-150, authorizing participation in the PEP Property Conservation Matching Grant Program. And we have approval of Resolution 23-151, authorizing the city manager to distribute employee appreciation gifts. And finally, we have approval of Resolution 23-152, accepting an amended cost of work to be performed under the Tennessee Transportation Planning Grant, and that's related to the West State Street Corridor study.
Would any member like any item removed from the consent agenda? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as listed.
Second?
Motion and a second. Mary Lee?
Hutton,
Yes.
Powers.
Yes.
Luttrell,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Robin.
Yes.
All right, next we're to our city manager's report.
Thank you. I don't have much here. Just a couple notes. So Veterans Day is this Saturday. Our city offices are closed on Friday. We have the parade on Saturday. Lineup is at 9 at Morrison Boulevard, and the parade starts at 10. And then we will get notice out, I believe tomorrow. We have a West State Street Corridor Plan public meeting scheduled for November 16th at 6 p.m. That'll be at the Paramount Theater, and that'll be our consultants presenting what they've created or come to so far.
Is that the 16th?
November 16th, yes, at 6 p.m. at the Paramount Theater, and we will get notice sent out to everyone. We have invited Bristol, Virginia to that as well.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Council comments?
I noticed that there are 2 new vehicles in our consent agenda. Do all of our various department heads, do they all have vehicles as well?
Not all of them.
Because I've noticed at some of our meetings when there has had to be items transported for our meeting, that there are some personal vehicles being used, and I think it's really important that we don't put stress and wear and tear on those individuals. And so whomever that is a department head that is transporting on behalf of the city on a regular basis, could you give us a report at our work session as to how that will be addressed? I think it needs to be addressed, and saying that we were able to do that for the engineering division and for information technology. I've just noticed that some of our department heads are transporting a lot of, and would like to see that resolved.
We'll do that. Thank you.
Next, anybody else?
I'd just like to add about the Veterans Day Parade this coming Saturday. There's also a ceremonial service that's done over at the War Memorial Park immediately following the parade. If you've never attended one, I might encourage you to do that. I mean, it just brings a lot of memories, a lot of thoughts, and I think all of our veterans deserve that. I'd like to see everyone here if they can, and everyone's listening out there tonight, just to attend that ceremony. It's really meaningful.
I'll piggyback on that, and I apologize, I'm going to be out of town with family over that weekend. But I usually go to the ceremony. It's really nice to see our city leadership there. So Malin's usually there, I'm usually there, and Bristol, Virginia, 2, 3 council people, sometimes 5 of Bristol, Virginia council folks are there. Our folks who plan some of these events are volunteers, and they don't always get the news out everywhere. So it's not our fault that we don't get to some of these things if we don't know about them. But that's great to let people know, and it is a very nice, they usually have a short speaker. Good idea to bring a lawn chair if you come. Then you can sit on the wall if you needed to, but do the 5-gun salute and taps, and just a very nice way to take a minute and to reflect and think. So thanks for saying that. So, and I'll miss it this year. My things are quick. Just wanted to, Maggie's gone, but I did not go to the Halloween parade, but I've seen the pictures, and I think next year it's going to be as big as Christmas parade. Probably close this year. I was at the farmer's market for Pumpkin Palooza, which was just incredible for the lines of families lining up to go through downtown. So great creativity, and I know there's just, as you heard Maggie say, just lots and lots of events with downtown, different things to happen. And I'll also note, we've already had some cold weather. We've got cold weather coming, so if anybody has last year's coats or 15-year-old coats that you're buying a new one, there are places, Salvation Army, Haven Arrest, Family Promise of Bristol. I'm looking at John Link, who volunteers regularly there. They can use, working with some people who are at risk, who are experiencing homelessness. It came to me last year with, they don't have a closet to keep their coat in for the next season. They're not going to carry around a coat if they don't have a place to put it. So that means every time when it gets cold again, it means getting your warm clothes together. So be thinking about that, especially during Thanksgiving time and holiday time. So would greatly appreciate spreading that word. So thank you.
Believe it or not, I will say something this evening, which is unusual, but I think of, I was talking the other day, and it was just like of what we passed this evening on the pilot with the Project Scotland coming in. You look at with the expansion of Tri-Cities extrusion, the expansion of Siemens that we have announced, with the housing developments that are either already their dirt is moving and are progressing, ones that are on the table. We have a lot going on in our city right now, and a lot of great things, and I think we got a lot to be proud of. So anyway, that's all I have, and with that, if no one else has anything, we're adjourned.